Mike Wilson. Dave Pascal, can you hear us?
I can hear you.
All right. We'll go with Grant Ramey, then Mike Wilson.
Those two still might be in bed.
Rick Russo, can you hear
I'm
us?
here. I can't speak for what Grant's doing, but I'm here. I'll just jump in ahead.
Go for it, Mike.
Yeah, Rick, what's the uniqueness this week of the schedule change? And have you ever had an experience where you've played outside of a conference tournament where you've played the same team twice in a week?
Only one time, Michael, that I could tell you with recollection was while I was at Providence in the Big East. If I remember right, we had a snow date on a Saturday. That was our last game of the regular season, and it got pushed back to Monday. Then I think we ended up playing Georgetown again that Sunday, the year we won the Big East championship, and that's the only time I can remember playing, two teams back to back, like, in a week. Other than maybe we might have played somebody again. There were some games in between. Obviously, we had a couple games, but I don't think we've ever played back to back. If we have, I don't remember it.
What was the communication like with the SEC to get to this point? I mean, what did they tell you, and how did it kind of come to this place where you're now playing Vanderbilt on Tuesday?
Well, we sort of had heard rumor, and we understand at this time of year when cancellations start happening that we're going to have these kind of situations, but we had heard about it prior to the game. We heard about it, that it was a potential, because I think the SEC, Dan Leibovich and what they do there with our basketball, they're on it, and they put it out there as a possibility. And then really from the time right after we got through with the media actually and got back to the bus, they had confirmed it. Prior, when I was talking to you guys, after the A&M game, we heard about it, but they did confirm it by the time we got on the bus.
David Pascal and Jimmy Himes.
Rick, I guess, are y'all testing 3 times a week? And I guess my question for you is, do you get nervous when you await the results, or are you kind of numb to it given what y'all went through during the preseason?
We do test 3 times a week. Do I get nervous about it? I probably don't so much because what it is, what it's going to be. But I think, Chad, Mary Carter, everybody that's on it every day, I'm sure. I mean, we get the little text, negative, positive. Bus drivers getting tested, everybody. But I just think there's something you can't worry about. You're always concerned about it because it falls back on the safety of your people in your program that you feel responsible for. But we're doing it 3 times a week, and I can only tell you we're still trying to do everything that we can, even when we go on the road. I mean, teams, I think, are doing everything they can to accommodate us. But when we walk in and things aren't, it means that coaches, we got to set out in the hallways to make sure we get to social distancing when we're on the road. We have a great setup here at Thompson Bowling. We actually can give a team 4 locker rooms if that's where they can really spread out. And when everything we do here right now, like we're getting ready to go here when I get finished with you guys, we're in a big room spread out. Everything we do, we're staying with the regulations and what needs to be going on. Same way, we'll take 2 buses tonight to Nashville. Then we'll make sure tomorrow when we get over there at the arena, we'll make sure that we are spaced out the way we need to, even if it means that coaches have to do something that we don't normally do, because we're going to do everything we can to try to prevent what we can prevent.
Rick, when you pick up a stat sheet after a game, what's the first thing you look at? Is it field goal percentage, rebound difference, turnover ratio to assist? What's the first thing you look at?
Final score.
Well, other than that.
It depends. I'm big on assist turnover ratio, obviously big on field goal percentage, but probably the first thing I look at would probably be individual individual guys on our team and maybe individual guys on the other team to see if we've done the things that we talked about, some of those type things. But I think it varies, Jimmy, based on where my mind is at that time. You got 1,000 thoughts going through your mind, depending on how the game ended, this, that, rebounds, especially with this team, because that's somewhere we know we need to get better. We need to improve. And I think stats early in the year can be misleading because until you really start playing over a long period of time, and obviously early in the year you're playing against competition. Even though this year I didn't think we played against teams that our normal bye games where you'd expect to do some things that show up statistically, probably for the good for you and your team. But now as you get into conference play and you start breaking down non-league conference games, then you start getting a real feel for where you really are as a rebounding team or an assist turnover team. But so much of it, again, it depends on players too. It's after a game, I can't even tell you how many different thoughts are going through my mind, when I'm walking off the court. And sometimes I don't just pick it up right away until I'm getting ready to maybe go get ready to talk with Bob and Bert and just look at some things that have some thoughts in my head. So the things I'm really thinking, I don't put out there.
Your thoughts on the Vanderbilt team?
I think Jerry Stackhouse has done a really good job. He's overhauled the team in terms of what he had a year ago. Run a lot of different things, and you would expect that. He played for one of the greatest coaches in college basketball. He grew up in a great sports town too, in Kinston, North Carolina. My college coach actually is from Kinston, and I always kid Jerry about him being the best player out of Kinston. My college coach, because he's still East Carolina's all-time leading scorer. And he's held that record since like 1954, I think. But playing at North Carolina, and I noticed that he has put a little bit of the Carolina break in, and I think he's mixed in some of the Carolina defensive scheme with the run and jump and those type things. Jerry's terrific. He's terrific. He's got a lot of different things that he does, which I think comes from his experience in the NBA, and not only as a player and as a coach. But his players have gotten better. When you look at the improvement of Scottie Pippen Jr., you've got to be impressed. But you look around, he's building the word culture is thrown around pretty freely at times, but I think he's building the culture in the way that he wants it. And so I think he's great for the game too. Being on conference calls with him and talking with him, I think he's a great person to be in the college game, and I think he does a lot more than what we'll see as a coach with this program, which is obviously something that we should all envy in the way he goes about doing his business.
Nicholas Hill and Troy.
Coach, preparing for the same team 2 times in a row, does that alter your preparation in any way?
No, it won't. We'll go about this game the way we do it, then we'll turn around and do it again. The difference is, I think that Vandy's a team that we play twice every year anyway. It's just it'll be there, and in between, you don't have other games to look at to see maybe what some other teams might have approached playing them that maybe you didn't with what you do. But otherwise, it's just a quick turnaround. It'll be obviously they will be fresher on our players' memories after the game, knowing that we'll proceed as we always do. But normally you have some games in between where you can see them go up against some different things that maybe you want to adjust with your plan. But obviously the adjustments from one game to the other will be made based on the first game.
Rick, obviously it's a different situation than most kids are used to. Have you reached out to any coaches in the Mountain West or any conferences that have kind of been doing this for their conference play in terms of playing back-to-back days to see how kids handle it? We haven't. No. Like I said, the preparation will be the same for us as we go about what we do. We know that I watched our games from a year ago. I saw the adjustments that we made from a year ago. I saw the adjustments that they made. And so there will be adjustments made, obviously, but again, I think both teams will continue to go about prepping the way we normally do because it's a Tuesday, Saturday game. It's not like it's Tuesday, Friday. Tuesday, Wednesday. If it's Tuesday, Wednesday, that would be very much different. Then you'd approach it like you would in a conference tournament or an NCAA tournament game, where probably it was back to back. You wouldn't do anything on the floor probably other than walk through and do those type of things. But this week we'll go about our regular week. Wednesday will be our day off, which it would be whether we're playing South Carolina. It would be a day off, and then we would have Thursday, Friday to prep for Vanderbilt, and so we'll stay with that schedule.
Rob Lewis, Teresa Walker.
Coach, where are you at as far as your rotation? You've talked about that a couple of times after the last few games. Not your top 7, but the Olivier, the Anasicki, Euro portion.
I don't think in my mind that we have a set thing. We played with we played with a lineup the other day we've never practiced with, and actually they did a terrific job. We had 4 guards out there with Eve for a couple possessions. I know this, as long as Olivier and we're going to need Olivier. We think Olivier's got a great future. We think the fact that EJ is with us for another year after this year, it's got a great future. Urosh is getting better and better. There's certain games you just can't get that deep into your bench as much as you'd like to. But the fact is, the way these guys, they will continue to approach practice and do the things, and that's what it's going to be. I'll be very blunt with you. I mean, and I tell them this: if they want to stay in the rotation, and there's not a set rotation, they would have to. It's going to be based on what they do in practice every day. That's where they build confidence, not only for themselves but for us. And so when games start out, I mean, we have an idea sometimes what we're going to do. Those maybe the first couple subs, but depending on foul trouble, that can change. And so in my mind, we've got 10 guys, 11 guys that we think are ready to play, and hoping even the 12th, 13th guy, 11th, 12th, 13th guy wants to do enough that they make us think about what they do. That's what happens with good teams. It's those guys that you would consider your rotational players. They say, hey, I'm going to do more. I want more playing time. And I can tell you, we're open-minded enough that if they do it, they're going to get the opportunity.
Pardon me, but have you already determined that EJ is coming back next year?
I don't think there's any question he will. And again, I think it's going to be good for him. So I actually told him the day that they made that announcement, I went to him and told him that we had just got a call from the NCAA that he wasn't eligible this year and he has to come back next year. And he looked at me, he said, that's okay, but I'd like to play this year too. So, and I told him, and he had a big smile on his face. So I think he will be excited about it. Or he is excited about it.
Rick, you mentioned Scottie Pippen and the improvement you're seeing out of him. How much of a step might he have taken from his first year here in the league? I think he's second in scoring, second in assists. How much better might his game be at this point?
Well, he's much, much, much improved when you look at. He's responsible for about half of the points in production offensively, and I love his demeanor that he plays with. And he is a guy that went in last year and had to learn on the job. He had to stay out there. They needed him on the court, and there were some nights it was just like I told our young freshman a year ago with Josiah James. He didn't get a chance to sit on the bench when he wasn't playing well. He had to stay out there when he knew that he wasn't playing up to what he wanted to play up to, the level he wanted to play to, and people were probably getting down on him, but yet in some ways that's what helps guys grow quicker than anything. The fact that they've got to fight through those tough days on teams that, last year we struggled. I tell it, we lost 14, 15 games a year ago, and that's a tough thing when you're a freshman out there being a big part of it and things aren't going well, but you've got to stay out there and fight through it. And I think that, I know it's helped Josiah, and I think it helped Scottie Pippen Jr.
We'll welcome Grant Ramey to the call, followed by Mike Wilson.
Sorry, had technical difficulties earlier. With Keon and Jaden getting starts, what did you see in the first, few possessions of the game from those two? Kind of what was your evaluation of how they did? And I know you don't really care about starting lineup as much, but kind of what goes into those decisions?
Well, first of all, good morning. We hope you enjoyed your oatmeal.
It was good, thanks.
We, you know what, Grant, I think they both have done well. I think they both, and, we and I go back to what you said about starting. I don't know if it really does matter. I don't think it does because like I mentioned, we had a lineup out there with both of them on the court with Santi and I think VJ or Josiah. I think it was VJ and Eve, which those guys, they're very competitive, both of them. They want to be good. It's going to be fun watching them get better here over the next couple of weeks. I think they're getting better now. You guys have watched it from start to finish. They're learning how to play with good players. They're learning how to play with a post player, really for the first time, post players for the first time. They're starting to understand what goes into, I think, being a good basketball player, what goes into being a good team. I think they also realize that it's probably harder than they thought it would be. And there's no reason for them to think different because they've had great success everywhere they've been. But the biggest thing is their willingness to want to continue to be coached. They're getting themselves in better shape, as I think we are as a team, which is important. And I've said it a couple of times, that they've been hurt by this late start back all the way to the summertime, and then they've also been hurt by the stops and starts. So the key now is that we can stay consistent, they can stay healthy, and keep moving forward.
Rick, on EJ, his minutes have kind of dropped the past couple games. Didn't play in the second half the other day. Is there something that he needs to be doing more consistently or better to kind of see those minutes get back to where they were?
No, it really hasn't anything to do with it. It goes back to personnel, and sometimes the game's going on. They have a guard lineup out there. The one thing you don't want to do, and we don't want to do as a coaching staff, is to put guys on guys and make it very difficult for them to switch or whatever. We do quite a bit of switching at times, and so most of what dictates who plays is playing time. Is matchups. But if guys aren't doing the things we expect them to do, yeah, certainly they're not going to play. But he hasn't done that. It's just that we were in a game the other day where we felt like we needed to open the court up. We need to get out, get the ball moving, and drive the ball. And so our opponent will dictate sometimes who plays. And I mentioned the other day, I think one of the really neat things about this team is that we do have the versatility to play a number of different ways. And like, I was impressed the other day. We had a group of guys that came out of a timeout, and Coach English wanted to try something. He had scouted a team that we had not practiced, and he drew it up, and we came out and we executed it perfectly. And I told the team yesterday watching that's a big step for us because we haven't always done the things that we wanted to do coming out of a timeout, just a little tweak here or a little tweak there. So I was that's why I know that, and most of the time it's the younger players or the newer players in the program. The older guys have been around enough and they've seen those tweaks. But again, it's going to get back to, again, opponents, what they have and how the game's playing, what we feel we need to do at that point in time in the game.
Rick Russo, Jimmy Himes.
Rick, Santi seemed to be playing with a lot of confidence the other day. Is that the kind of thing that can rub off on the other players, the other guys around him on the court?
Well, I think it did, Rick. I think when you saw him and him shooting the ball the way he does and doing some other things, Santi's, I said it before, he's a very deceptive defensive guy. He's not going to be the guy that's out there jumping around, but he understands angles and he is. He's just, again, he's a player. He's a sophomore because he played so much a year ago. We take for granted that he's an older guy, and he's, first of all, I think he's, what is he, 18? Santi, 18, 19? I think
he's 18.
He's young. And he's got himself in the best shape. But the players do have a great respect for him because, one, he works very hard. And we actually, and I said before the last game, talking to some people, that I think the reason he had struggled is me not insisting on him coming out of practice more. He wants to take every rep, and he doesn't need to do that. He doesn't. Because when he's in, he's going to go all out. But I do think that when he gets shooting the ball like that, it does rub off on some guys, and it certainly spreads things out for everybody else to give them room to operate.
Rick, two of your best games have been on the road, Missouri and Texas A&M. Can you pinpoint why?
Well, first of all, Arkansas is a terrific team, and we didn't shoot the ball particularly well there, and we certainly didn't shoot the ball well against Alabama. I mean, you got two teams that came in here that are, two terrific offensive teams, and I think looking back, there's a lot of things when you think about I could go back and look at the Alabama game. I don't think that, again, like Keon said it, he wasn't as sharp as he needed to be. Didn't know, because we had won some games where they felt like it was going to be easy. It's never easy. But with young guys, they've got to get stung a little bit to do that and to learn that. But the fact is, we've gone on the road. We've been focused, and I don't want to take away anything from the Alabama their win here, but we weren't very good. We didn't deserve to win the game. We got exactly what we deserved. We fought hard against Arkansas, and you think about it when you come off a game where you get beat the way we felt we got beat in every area because we didn't deserve to win because we weren't who we were supposed to be. We broke down too many ways. You go into the next game with a little bit of doubt. And then you're playing a really good team that they had lost one game and arguably a team in the conference that people thought was one of the better teams. And you expected it to be a dogfight, and it was. And then we had a lead there at the end, but we didn't put it away the way we should have. Give them credit, but we made too many mistakes on the defensive end. And so with that said, we go on the road, feeling good about beating Arkansas. But my message to them was, hey, the last time we started feeling good, we got beat. And we had better lock in and think about what we're doing. Every game's going to be and I'll go back, Jimmy, last year, even though we've got some guys back from a year ago, certainly that doesn't mean anything unless we learn from the mistakes we made a year ago. And I felt like we did that because last year when A&M came in here, they beat us. They just annihilated us on the boards. And that even though they beat us on the boards the other day, it wasn't anything like what happened in here a year ago. And I can tell you, watching that tape going in, it was hard to watch. But I thought our guys really tried to do the things that we talked about overall with our scouting report.
And as far as the SEC, and I know it's early, but do you think that more SEC teams should be ranked, or at least there are more good SEC teams out there than maybe people realize?
I don't know what you can put in the rankings right now, Jimmy. I don't, because of the way we've played it. There were definitely, we'd have had a full regular season by now. We'll certainly, we know that Gonzaga and Baylor would have already played. We would have played. Think about it. The way we started the season, we would have already played Gonzaga. We would have played Notre Dame and Wisconsin. Teams. And so I don't know if we've got a full feel for what it's really like right now. But the fact is, this league is good. Anytime you get in the league, and I've said this to you guys for many years, conference games are difficult because coaches know each other. We play each other. We go back and we look, and unless there's like a total makeover with teams. So once you get into conference play and you get into a round robin, it's difficult. And we have our, obviously our common opponents that we play every year. But our league is really good. It really is. And you look around and you see teams that are doing well. And I really do feel for South Carolina. What they've had to go through, because I know what we felt like when we had to sit and watch teams play at the beginning of the year. And, in some ways, that would probably be a better feeling than getting to play a few games and then getting shut down. That's tough. That really is. And so I feel for, I think Missouri's going through it right now at this point in time. And I'm not sure who else because I don't read that much, but I do know that South Carolina's going through it. And I hate it for Frank and Conzo and their teams because we've said many times that right now these guys really want to be playing basketball, but we know that we've got to protect them the best way that we can.
Santiago turned 19 back in September. We'll go next to Ben McKee and Rob Lewis.
Coach Schwartz had mentioned the other day that Corey Walker was practicing and available to play. What does he need to do in practice to earn some minutes? And how difficult is that for him, considering he is a true freshman during a COVID season and wasn't really able to start out on the right note because of the injury?
It's very extremely hard to catch up. when you miss what he missed, there's no doubt it's really hard. It's very difficult. And he will have to continue to do what he's doing, get himself in the kind of shape, get the speed, the aggressiveness, what we play with. But it's difficult. It is. And like I said, it's hard to play more than 10 guys in games, what would be, I think, quality minutes. But he's like anyone else. If he proves he's ready to do it, and we think he can help us, it'll happen.
Coach, how confident are you there's going to be an SEC tournament, or do you feel like that week maybe you need to use to make up postponed games?
You know what, Rob? I don't know if I can say if I'm confident about anything beyond today. You know, I don't, because I know what you're saying. I mean, you know, if you finish the year and we've had a good year, I mean, I think the commissioner, I think that he and his staff will do an unbelievable job of what we need to be doing at that point in time. I just don't know what it looks like. I don't know what it's going to look like with how many games we'll have to make up, or if we'll be able to do whatever. I mean, I like to think that, and some people would say, why do that? You know, if you qualify for the NCAA tournament, why go there and jeopardize playing and maybe doing that? But I think it will be different. I think the tournament, obviously, you know, teams aren't going to get there early. We'll treat it like, you know, we tried to always use the SEC tournament when we knew that we were going to be a postseason tournament, like you would do postseason, that you've got to be there a couple days early, which I think that will change with the NCAA too, because of what we're doing now. We could do this anytime. So I don't know, you know, but that will come up. You know, if you know you've qualified for the tournament, why go there, jeopardize it? But I know this. It goes back, and I will keep saying it. Players want to play. They want to play. They want to play as many games as they can play. And if you think about it right now, how many games we played?
10.
We played 10 games, so we've got 15 games left. At this point in time, normally we would have played how many games?
Probably closer to 15.
Closer to 15, 15, 16 games, maybe 7 more games. Close to it, maybe. But anyway, my point is they want to play. They just want to play. And so would they rather take a week off and practice, getting ready? I can tell you that answer quick. No. They would tell you they'd much rather be in Nashville playing a tournament. It means something. It does mean something to go and try to win an SEC conference tournament championship. But as we move forward, I don't know the answer. I think we all would be naive to think that what we're going through right now, if we didn't think that was going to happen, we would be naive. We knew that we would have some stoppage along the way. I just hope that we can, again, I thought our football season, I thought the conference office again worked through it the best way they could, and I think we're going to be in the same situation. And just like they played our championship game, I'd like to think that if it's any at all possibility, we'll play a conference tournament.
We'll finish up with Mike Wilson.
Yeah, Rick, seems like the road home splits are kind of balancing out this year, given that arenas aren't full. How have you seen both your home court advantage at Thompson Bowling change, and what have you experienced with the 2 road games in terms of taking your team to A&M in Missouri?
Well, they're more similar than not now, obviously. And when you talk about Thompson Bowling, we have one of the best. And I thought our crowd was great during our home game. I think it was it Arkansas game? I thought we probably had the biggest crowd we had in there. I think, I don't know what we had for the Alabama game, but we heard them. I can tell you that. I know that. But it's more similar now than you would expect, I think, where I think you would expect, you know, where most teams, I don't know what it's going to be like at Vanderbilt. I felt like the other day and I might be totally wrong on this, I felt like the noise in the arena was a little bit, stayed on a little bit longer, I think, than Missouri, I think. I don't know. But it's just very similar. You know, the crowd, you know how we all, I guess, do the piped in noise level that's So I guess everybody can do a little bit different. But what we do, Mike, when we go, we're trying as much as we can. Just again, the close contact is what we're most concerned about. But I do think the arenas are really probably more similar now than they normally aren't. But it is the way it is, and we just got to get ready to play. You can definitely communicate better. I can tell you that.
All right. Thank you, everybody.